So today I want to talk about the principles of making mistakes in the business. And what I mean specifically is in real estate, multifamilies, or just doing construction projects or capital improvements, overall, making mistakes. And you got to learn how to love the mistakes that you make. And what I mean by love is not love to like enjoy making the mistakes. What I mean love is that you got to learn from them and not shy away from them. You got to create an environment in your team and within yourself. Sometimes you could be too hard on yourself, but you need to create an environment where your team, where mistakes are allowed, they get fixed, and you move on from them. You know, there's a lot of mistakes that get made on a daily basis on a construction project and a multifamily renovation. But if you create an environment where they're not allowed to be open and tell you about their mistakes, you can't fix them. So you want to fix these things fast and move on and put that confidence back in your team. You want to understand that mistakes are part of the process and it's a part of a daily routine in your business. So you want to create that environment where people could actually make a mistake, talk about them, fix them, and just move on and learn from them. Now, when mistakes are being made, you gotta self-reflect on this. You can't just say, okay, a mistake was made and move on. You gotta be able to self-reflect, figure out why it was made. What decision did you make that made it? Why did they make that decision? Is there too many management, too many bosses, too many heads, too many procedures? Those are the type of things that you need to analyze to prevent these things from happening. You have to create a culture where it's okay to make mistakes in your team. But you also got to create a culture where if it is made, it should be recognized and it should be fixed, because you don't want to make the same mistake over and over. But your team has to be okay with that. They have to be okay that they could be outspoken about it. They don't have to hide these things from you. They can't be in fear of losing their jobs because mistakes are being made. I mean, of course, there is a certain level of that you need to take care of. That if it's happening over and over, the same mistake over, then you definitely have a problem. But you need to be able to fix those problems before it gets to that. Now, you have to observe what type of mistakes are being made. You have to observe if the mistake is a weakness in your team, or is it a lack of communication in your team, or is it a lack of education in your team? These are three different factors. Someone in your team might be making a mistake because they're just weak at that. That's not their strength. Their strengths are in other parts of the business, and you might be giving them a task that it's not his strong point. The second one could be there is a lack of communication. There's too many bosses, too many people in the middle, that the job is getting diluted. Your instructions are getting diluted because there's too many steps in the middle. Sometimes I like to include in my directions everyone in the team, even though the direction is going to the head manager, but I want all the team members to see because they all know what's going on. So you got to be careful. There's too many messages being passed on from individual to individual. By the time it gets to the third and fourth person, it's been completely diluted and it's completely changed. So make sure they do that. And then the third one is mistakes are being made because they're taking on the project and they just not educated on that specific item, and you're giving them a task without asking them, do you actually know what you're doing? Are you educated to be able to do this job? People are in fear of losing their jobs, so sometimes they say yes to everything that you give them, but they don't know. They're not educated on that specific task. So create that environment where it's okay for them to come back and tell you, I don't know how to do that. What do I need to do? And give them that education. So I want to give an example of a mistake that was made in my career. I reflect on that mistake that was made by this individual, and the mistake was very costly. It was a mistake that cost the company a lot of money, and my immediate reaction was to fire that person and move on and find another individual. That person I reflect back on it was a very good worker, but this mistake cost me so much money that it really resonated in me, and I reacted that way, and I let go of that person. That person went to another company that was a competitor of ours, and I'm pretty sure he's very successful in that company. But when I reflect back at it, I start thinking, I just made that company lots of money because I paid for that mistake. And I am pretty sure that that person is not going to make that same mistake again. So the way I reflect at it again, I should have gave him a second chance, because he was not going to cost me that mistake again, because I knew he felt bad for it. But me letting him go and not giving him a second chance on that just made him a better person, a better worker, and now that other company is getting that person that I paid for the mistake. So you gotta be careful that you don't react to big mistakes and not give people a second opportunity, because someone else is gonna take that opportunity and get that great worker from you. So when mistakes are being made that are major mistakes or even smaller mistakes, you have to diagnose it, get to the root of it, find out why was it made, who made the decision, and where did it come from to the beginning of it. And it's going to give you a complete perspective and understanding of why that mistake was made, and it'll give you the capability of fixing it. So that's my advice to you. So mistakes are going to happen. There's nothing you can do about them. You want to minimize them as much as possible, but embrace them, love them, learn from them, create a culture where people could talk to you about the mistakes, and I promise you, you're going to have a great group of people working with you. They're going to enjoy to work with you because they know that they could be open about their mistakes that they're making, and there's a structure where you could fix them quickly and improve and perfect. Remember to follow me on my platform, social media, or you could just reach out to me directly at abiel@abielballesteros.com, and I'll see you in the next one.